My experience is that I've been brought up in a Christian family, and using those terms pretty loosely. But as far as actually giving my heart to the Lord, that was probably, I think I was about 23, 24. I'd been in the church all my life, but there was just this one moment we went across to a church on the north side. I didn't do an altar call as such, but I just felt a real deep impression. God was after more than what I'd given to that point. And so, yeah, I didn't go down the front. I actually knelt in the aisle, and just gave my heart to the Lord from there. And it's just been wonderful ever since.
My salvation story is, it sounds a bit weird in some ways, but when I was 8 and grew up in the Salvation Army church all our lives, huge heritage back in the Salvation Army, all the way to the first Salvation Army service ever in Adelaide under a big tree. But I remember being in the Salvation Army and service, and the pastor, we call them officers, was sort of calling people to come down to the altar. And I just got this stirring on the inside. And so I just went down, and I didn't really know why I was there because I was 8. But other people were kneeling at the altar. And so I just knelt at the altar, and somebody came and prayed with me. And yeah, I just knew something had shifted, and I knew that I had received Christ, even though I didn't truly understand it because I was only 8.
Andrea and I, when we came together, we actually made a deliberate decision to take the best out of both of our families, because everybody is brought up in a family that's dysfunctional in some way, shape, or form. But we wanted the best that we could muster between the two families or our two upbringings. So when we brought that together, it was like, this is our family unit. This is what we're going to do. We're going to, as far as me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And that was the nugget, I guess, or the seed for what has been produced in the future. So yes, there's certain legacy, because legacy is the unseen element that we take from the generations previous, and then we build that legacy into the next generation. So we wanted the best to be seen in our children, and that was the goal.
A choice to do it God's way, not our way. And yeah, and that means putting down some things and cutting off some things that are not good, like Paul was saying. Making that choice. And it's not always, even if we think it's the best thing, it might not be the God thing. And we just wanted God, and we wanted the best for our children and godliness in them for an inheritance for generations to come.
Yeah, you are measured by your fruit. And I was thinking about this during the week, and it's like, as I said to Andrea, the guys actually make us look really good. In terms of the fact that it's not only what we can place into their lives, but it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And it's a reflection on who we've been connected to and the goodness of God flowing through their lives into our children.
Yes.
And our children are a reflection of that.
Yeah. I would also add to that something that we learnt in our previous church was pastors and parents have to work together to raise the children. And we speak into their lives, but so do the pastors. Pastors are the set man and woman of the house, and so they are the authority in the house, and you want that covering. You want that those people speaking into your children's lives. And then, yes, the aunties and uncles come around and they continue to build into your children's lives. A friend of mine once said, I've seen the village. It takes a village to raise a child. I've seen the village. I don't want them raising my child. And that's the outside world. That's the outside influences. Yeah, I don't want them raising my child. I want God. I want the pastors, I want parents, and I want the aunties and uncles raising my children in the house of God, speaking into them so that they can fulfill all that God's got for their lives.
2 years ago, when we actually came to Harvest Point, the reason for that was because our pastor passed away, and as a result, the church disbanded. But one of the messages that was given to us upon leaving, and it was to the whole church, was the fact that we have 25 years of legacy. So much good stuff has been actually placed into our lives. And so we are there to export what God has done in our lives. So it really gave a positive slant to what was a negative situation. And we knew that we all weren't all going to go to the same church. It was a case of God was going to plant us in wherever he wanted to put us. So you go in with holding it very lightly. God, where do you want to place us? And when we came into Harvest Point, my first impression was, I found my tribe. These are the people. And it's just an absolute comfortability that I found as soon as I walked through the doors, something that I have difficulties trying to put into words. But a beautiful experience. And as a result, God has opened doors. So the things that have been planted in us, God has given us opportunity to build the church.
Yeah, we bring everything of our lives to this church, and that's building this house's legacy from the 45 years. Like, how amazing. And this continues to grow and continue on and advance into what God wants to do here. And it's a new season. So we've come into a new season, amazingly. And so we're pretty stoked about that. We're very excited to see what God's going to do
Amen.
and for the future, because we're here to build.
Yeah.